Welcome back. Final hour of the Michael K. Show here on this Monday. So, the Yankees tonight are playing at Steinbrenner Field, and Max Fried's going to be making his first spring start. So that is a 6:35 first pitch, and you can see it on Yes. And I look at the lineup. You've got Jazz playing second, leading off. Judge playing right, batting second. Cody Bellinger in left field, hitting third. Volpe cleans up the shortstop. Grisham in center. Rice at first. Jackson will catch. Smith the DH. And Peraza at third base. So there you have it. What does that mean? Well, there are some issues that the Yankees are dealing with as spring training starts to really roll now. Remember, the season starts at the end of April, or at the end of this month against Milwaukee at the stadium. And Dominguez in left field has been an issue. And everybody keeps poo-pooing it. Oh, he'll be fine. He has a long runway where, we can change. And the reasons for it just make no sense to me. I mean, you're going to take this guy out of his comfort zone so that Trent Grisham could be in his comfort zone the 30 or 40 games that he plays. How does that make any sense? Trent Grisham's not your future. Trent Grisham is a really good center fielder. He's not the future of the team. A lot of what happens this year with the Yankees rests on the shoulders of Jason Dominguez, who's 22 years old. And if you look at the breakdown of what he's done in the minor leagues, he's a center fielder. He spent very few times in left field. Last year in left field at Yankee Stadium, it was a mess. I'm not ripping the kid. He's playing out of position. So why put him in left now? When his bat is going to be a really important factor on a team that doesn't have Juan Soto anymore. Why would you put him in left? Don't you want to be comfortable? Put him in center. Bellinger said he'll play anywhere. So what Aaron Boone keeps saying is, well, the times that, I want to rest Judge and play Grisham, well, I want Bellinger to be able to play right field, and then I want Grisham to play in center rather than have to move around. So you'd rather move around Dominguez? It doesn't make any sense to me. Trent Grisham could play anywhere. Anywhere. So today we see Bellinger in left field. I think that's the way to go. All right, some other issues that's cropped up with the Yankees, and this is serious to me. Luis Hill was a big part of the Yankees' success last year. He filled in capably when Garrett Cole went down. Ended up winning the American League Rookie of the Year. Now, what worries me, this guy had been coming off injuries and Tommy John surgery. And then he pitched well over his previous high. And that used to be a rule that you never increase anybody more than 40 innings over the previous year. Well, after much deliberation, teams have said, well, that's not a hard and fast rule. So he blew right by it last year. And you wonder, is that starting to rear its ugly head? Now, it's not an elbow. It was his shoulder. He had to shut it down throwing in the bullpen. His shoulder started to hurt. Underwent an MRI. Aaron Boone has not spoken yet. Should be in another hour or so. Maybe we'll find out exactly what the deal is with Heel. But if it's a long-term issue, that's a blow. That's a blow. So any thought the Yankees had of trading Stroman, that has to be eradicated. Now, people freak out about spring training. And Stroman pitched yesterday and gave up a couple of homers. So what? He's working on things. He's a veteran. So he now becomes a part of the rotation if Heel is shut down. And then the next man up is who? Will Warren. Now, Will Warren has pitched well in spring training. Again, I don't really put much input on spring training performance. I just don't. Sometimes you're not facing real major league lineups. But He did not pitch well for the Yankees last year. He was terrible in the short couple of times that he pitched. He was overmatched. So if anybody else goes down, then it's Will Warren. Then you got Cookie Carrasco. The depth is not there right now. So that's number 2 to be a little bit concerned about. Now, the one thing that you get out of Stroman is usually get a good first half. Second half is another issue. He had a bad second half with the Cubs. He had a bad second half last year with the Yankees. Bad. Didn't pitch in the postseason. In fact, didn't even make the roster in one of the series. And when he was on the roster, nothing. Never even got up to warm up. So the second half of the season, if you stand next to Marcus Stroman, he is not big in stature. Not a big physical guy. And maybe as he gets older, the body breaks down or wears down and he's not as effective. The Yankees are trying to put lipstick on a pig and say, well, the defense kind of betrayed him last year and he's a bat-to-ball guy and he needs his defense behind him. Oh, okay. I watched a lot of his games. He's throwing 88, 89 miles an hour with his fastball, and he has to be perfect with his location, and he wasn't, and he would get hit. Did the defense help him? No, but it was more than that. And then finally, it's the third base situation. DJ LeMahieu goes down with a calf injury. Those things cannot be ignored. They are big, big issues. They take forever to come back from. Calf and a quad, killers. They said it's only grade 2. They don't think it's going to set him back that long. It will. This guy who's not been able to stay healthy. And you want the best for him. He's a good guy. He's a great teammate. And the Yankees want the best of him because they owe him $15 million this year and $15 million next year. Just a quick aside for all the fans that screamed when he became you got to sign him no matter what. Give him a blank check. Oh, okay. How you feeling now about that contract? How you feeling about that contract over the last 2 years? How you feeling about that contract after the first 2? So always be careful when you're a fan. Oh, blank check, whatever he wants. Well, okay. They gave him a 6-year deal. Didn't work out, did it? So now your third base situation is this. Oswaldo Cabrera and Oswald Peraza. You feeling comfortable with that? Oswaldo Cabrera is a really valuable player that can move around and play a lot of positions. Get it. Got it. Good. Is he your everyday third baseman? He might have to be. Peraza's out of options, so he's got to make the team or they might lose him. So what you might have is a platoon at third base. Now, Yankee fans, let's all be honest with each other, because we are. You comfortable with that third base? With what you're starting the season with at third base, are you comfortable? I don't think that even Aaron Boone could be real comfortable. Which leads me back to what we were talking about earlier. Heel goes down with a shoulder. We're finding out what it is. You can't trade Stroman. Okay? Good. That means you're not getting rid of his $18 million. All right? You don't get rid of his $18 million or even part of it, you are over the final threshold. And I've been saying this from the very, very beginning, everybody. If you're over the final threshold by $1, you might as well be over it by $30 million. I know the tax is 110%, but are you trying to win a pennant or not? Is there a third baseman out there that you could acquire or a second baseman where you could move Jazz Chisholm to third that you can acquire that's going to up your payroll a little bit, but the payroll is not going to be changed? Because if you want to get under that 301 threshold and you're not trading Stroman because you can't because of Heel's injury, where is the cut? Who are you getting rid of to get under that? It doesn't exist. Everybody else makes big money. You're not trading Rodon, nor should you. Fried just got here. Cole is Cole. You need a first baseman. Goldschmidt's 12.5. You're not getting rid of Jazz Chisholm. Obviously not Volpe. The only way that you could do it to get under, because I think you're over by about $3 million right now, is to trade Trent Grisham, who makes $5. And he's your only backup outfielder. So if you're never getting under that threshold, doesn't it make sense to make the team more complete? And if you think that there's something in there that you could pull out of Nolan Arenado, don't you think that's better than what you're bringing in? Don't you think that's better than the third baseman that you have? Come on, honestly. In for a dime, in for a dollar. Because I'm sure the Cardinals would eat a lot of what's remaining on Nolan Arenado's contract. I know it's 3 years. I get it. But this has been a concerning week, this past week for the Yankees. You can't feel as good about them as you felt at the beginning of spring training. And it does actually expose one of the things that you should be a little concerned about. There's not much depth there. People start breaking down and going down. There's not much depth there. Not a deep team. One backup outfielder in Grisham. Some things to think about. The heel injury is huge on many fronts. It forces Stroman to be in the rotation again, and it means you're not getting under 301. So all the penalties that come with being a repeat offender, that's what's going to happen. That's why I say if you're over by $1, you might as well be over by $20 million. 1-800-919-3776. That's the number. You're the co-host now. Let's go to Trevor in Pomona, California. What's up, Trev?
Mike, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Hey, I got a quick question for you on the Stroman topic.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just thinking, right? So if we're thinking that Stroman may be able to bounce back this first half of the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are we thinking that maybe then we can capitalize on a good first half and possibly then look into maybe trading him to the Cardinals for Nolan Arenado to fix the third base problem at the deadline, considering if Gill's down for some time to start the season?
Well, I mean, that always does exist if he could reestablish his value by having the first half that he had last year, if he has it again this year. But, I mean, that deal is there to be made right now. Right now. But also, people are not flying blind in this. They all see that he has struggled in the second half the last couple of years. He's not a big guy. That's why I give him such credit for having the career that he's had. I do like to. I want to push back. Everybody makes him, this underdog story that nobody believed in. He went to Duke and he was a first-round draft choice. He's not exactly somebody who was picked late in the draft. He's a first-round draft pick out of Duke. He was widely respected, and a lot of things were expected from him. And you know what? He's had a pretty good career. Let's see how he does now. I have no problem whatsoever that he had a rough outing over the weekend. None. No one should. Anybody who reads into spring training records or numbers, you just want to get yourself an ulcer. That's it. You want to get yourself an ulcer. Let's go to Peter in Brooklyn. Peter.
Hey, Mike. How's it going? Congratulations on the show and the time slot, man.
Thank you, man.
So my question was pretty much about Spencer Jones and what's the possibility of him coming up this year and being a viable option for us?
I don't think it's this year, Peter. I just, unless he has somehow corrected all of the flaws in his swing, which, almost had him strike out half the time last year in the minors. It's funny because last spring training he was terrific. Didn't strike out, didn't swing and miss. And then once the season started in the minors, that's all he did. Now, he's having a good spring training again this year. Again. He's not ready, though. He's just not ready. In terms of another outfielder that you could use, it's probably Everson Pereira. I don't think Spencer's ready at this point. I just don't. Time for the co-host, 1-800-919-3776. Call in now. Let's go to Richard in Manhattan. Richard. Richard. All right, now he's banned tomorrow. He can't call in tomorrow. This is the second time in a week he's been on hold. Then you go to him, he's not there. It's like he has a real job. Probably has to pull a tooth or something, right? It's not good. You're messing with the show. You're messing with the flow of the show. Let's go to LaRon in Queens. I think that's how you pronounce it. LaRon?
Yes, that's it. You said it correct. Thank you, Michael, for taking my call.
You got it.
How you doing? I was really on the football aspect. I called a little late for football, but I really wanted to talk about the Giants. All right, I just wanted to talk about the Giants, and I think they should stand put at the 3. And then hopefully maybe a Hunter or Carter falls to them. If you don't love the quarterbacks that's ahead of you, you shouldn't do that. And I think they can get Jackson Dart in the second round, or maybe even move up maybe a pick or 2 in the first round, like his 30th, 32 pick, to get Jackson Dart. I think he's going to be a good player. And if you get a bridge quarterback, it should be able to transition him into playing eventually. What do you think about that? And I'll hear your thoughts.
Well, LaRon, I will tell you, I am totally aligned with you when it comes to you don't move up in the draft if you do not love Ward and you do not love Sanders. Now, as for Dart, he might move up into the first round. I don't know if he's going to be there in the second round. That's going to be an issue. Now, they have intel on him. Obviously, he went to Ole Miss, so Eli's very familiar with him. Not a perfect quarterback, but he could impress some people at the combine, and he could move up, especially because of the fact that Ward and Sanders elected not to work out. They were there just to talk with people, and I understand when you're high draft pick, you can only ruin things by throwing in the combine. A lower projected draft pick should be able to move up. And they should be able to show people, you know what, this is what I could do. There's a lot of noise around Jackson Dart. I know that my colleague, Rick DiPietro of DiPietro and Rothenberg in the Morning, he likes Dart a lot. So we'll see. But that's why you don't want to reach for a quarterback at the top of the draft. And the bottom line is this. They're so desperate that they might have to reach. Let me remind you, we talked about it in the first hour. They don't have a quarterback other than Tommy DeVito. There's not another quarterback on the roster. So they're desperate in so many different ways. Desperate because they've got to put wins on the board to keep their job. Desperate because they have a position that's the most important position probably in sports. And they don't have anybody at that position. It ain't good. What John Mara did by retaining these guys and not giving them a long-term commitment, he has made them desperate. Desperate things, or desperate people do desperate things. They could be having a discussion, you know what, Ward's not great, but I mean, we got to bring somebody in. And they might be also thinking, if we draft a quarterback with the first round pick, they got to keep us, right? I mean, how stupid would that be to get rid of us after we drafted the quarterback? They've done it before, though. They did it with Daniel Jones and Gettleman. Let's go to Kenny in Connecticut. Kenny.
Hi, Michael.
Hello, Ken.
I just want to ask you a quick question. Who do you think is the bigger waste of money? Frankie Montas, DJ LeMahieu, or Ed Frost?
You mean Montas when he was with the Yankees?
Yes.
I think he gave them like 5 innings, so, I mean, it'd be hard to top that. But at this point, LeMahieu's contract, Kenny, is an albatross. Frost doesn't make that much money, and obviously that was a draft that a trade they made with the Cubs, and he's been hurt all the time. But I don't look at that as a big waste of money. I mean, I look at the $15 million that you have to pay LeMahieu this year and next year, and if he can't stay healthy, I mean, that's a sunk cost. You also didn't put in Aaron Hicks there, too. And despite his unbelievable performance in October, I mean, what kind of value have you gotten out of Stroman? Not Stroman, but what kind of value have you gotten out of Stanton? How? I mean, he can't stay healthy. He's had one injury-free year. That was his first year with the Yankees, where he played 158 games. I think the next year he played 19. And then it was a COVID year, and he's been hurt every single year. It's a lot of money tied up in him. And also a lot of a position tied up in him that other teams use to give people rest. And they have 2 more years of him, too. They have 2 more years. So that's a little concerning. A little concerning. That's why when Hal Steinbrenner says, I believe that you should win. You should be able to win with a $300 million payroll. You don't have to go up to 380. I tend to agree with him. Because it's not that the Yankees or the Steinbrenner family is cheap. The money has not been spent that well. I'm sorry, it hasn't been. It hasn't been spent that well. The trade for Stanton did not work. It just didn't. The re-signing of LeMahieu has not worked. Hicks did not work. I mean, you're not allocating the money the right way. Again, you should be able to build a super team on $300 million. So everybody wants him to outspend the mistakes of the allocation of money. And he's probably going, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.